Welcome to the Overcommitted Podcast, your weekly dose of real engineering conversations. I'm your host this week, Brittany, and I am joined by Bethany to chat with the lovely Sarathy about being an early career engineer in tech right now and doing things online to network remotely. Now, before we get into it, I wanted to do a quick intro. First, we are doing intros now, separate from when we're actually talking to people on the podcast, which is sort of a way to try to streamline our recording and also a chance for us to give messages up front, the first of which is this. If you are listening to the Overcommitted podcast and you enjoy it or have enjoyed it in the past, we would really appreciate it if you would give us a like, a subscribe, a follow, whatever it is you have to do on the podcast app of your choice that you are currently using, because that helps us with discovery and with other folks finding the podcast. And with these ratings that are pretty much meaningless, but it feels good to have them. We don't have any sponsors or anything like that on the show. We are doing this because we love chatting with each other and we love meeting new folks on the pod. Adding to that network is something that we're always interested in. If you are interested in being on the show or just want to connect with the dev community, head over to overcommitted.dev and join our Discord server. With that, let's get into the show. Today on Overcommitted, we are joined by Sreya Sarathy, a software engineer at Northwestern Mutual in Milwaukee, where she uses artificial intelligence and cloud technologies to build systems that help people and families plan for their financial futures. She's a 2025 UW-Madison grad with a double major in computer science and data science. Spent her first year out of school running a free virtual panel series that drew more than 1,500 registrations across 12 different panels, featuring speakers from Apple, Amazon, IBM, Starbucks, Ford, Deloitte, and GitHub, and building a peer matching program for students in the middle of recruiting. She writes product teardowns on Substack and spoke at GirlCon 2026 and will be speaking at the Grace Hopper celebration in October. Welcome, Sreya.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm happy that you mentioned GitHub because I was going to shout you guys out, but I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, so excited to have you. This is great. To kick us off, what is one thing you're currently building or obsessed with learning right now?
Currently, I'm trying to find a way to maximize my meal plans because, to be very transparent, I'm a very bad cook, and cooking is something that I don't enjoy. It's more so something I need to do just to save money and eat healthy. So I'm trying to use AI to see if it can give me different stuff to eat during the week, because earlier I would meal prep the same thing and have it for 4 or 5 days and just be so sad. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a way I could have it know everything in my fridge at every given time. And then if I'm feeling Asian food today, it gives me 3 different recipes that I can follow based on what I'm feeling. It's definitely a lot harder than I thought it would be, because I thought I could just take a picture of everything in my fridge and then just ask it to generate recipes. I don't know if it's because the picture generation makes it harder for AI to understand, but I'm vegetarian. One of the times I saw tofu and I thought it was chicken, and it was you can make chicken tacos. And I was I don't even eat chicken. So I'm trying to find a way to optimize that for my life.
Yeah, I've seen a few really hilarious ChatGPT recipe fails that I think are pretty great. Clearly AI has no taste buds.
Yeah.
But it's generally good. I use it for meal planning too, actually. But
okay.
It's a general, I've got, these regular things. So make my plan for the week. But it's just for dinners and for kids that only eat 3 things anyway. So
that's fair. That's very fair. I'm trying to optimize it with my protein intake, and I don't really get the minimum amount, and I'm trying to also be healthier, so I'm trying to fix it up accordingly. It's definitely taken more attempts than I thought it would, but I'm excited for it to finally work, because then I know that aspect of my life is fully taken over by AI and I'm not complaining.
Yes, I love that. AI for the mental load of existing for the things you don't care about is just so nice. Awesome. So yeah, when we first met online and I was on one of your panels, and when I started looking at what you're up to, I was wow, she's definitely overcommitted. So I'd love for you to just sort of give us a trajectory of what got you into the space of doing things outside of just doing your job.
Yeah.
I know you'd mentioned online that you'd spent a couple years skipping opportunities and then something changed. So do you want to just tell us what changed and what
definitely
came from that?
I think that's a great question as well. Pretty much my first 2 years of college, I didn't do anything other than just go to class and like do the assignments. And I found myself getting really burnt out with that cycle, and every day kind of felt the same. So I started joining like student orgs, and I started doing small volunteer based things outside of school. And that really fueled my creativity, I'd like to say. And I kind of just kept at it. And senior year is when I felt very confident. I was like, I've been here for 4 years now. I've learned a lot. I want to give back truly. So that's when I became my school's like brand ambassador for our computer science and data science school. And that really brought a lot of opportunities my way. But once I graduated, it was kind of the same thing because I was just going to work and coming back, and every day felt the same again. So I really missed having some creativity every day and some kind of passion project. So I decided to start with the panels. And the first thing I did was a Grace Hopper panel. Because long story short, I went to Grace Hopper in 2024 and I made a TikTok for it for my university. And every year around the time the conference rolls up, that TikTok gets really popular again and people start reaching out to me because they're like doing their research before the conference and they're so curious because I don't really mention anything in that TikTok. I just talk about a day in my life at the Grace Hopper conference. And when that happened last year, I was like, okay, let me make a video on what all I did before the conference, how I maximized it. And I posted that on TikTok, but from my private account this time, which was really nerve-wracking because I was like, my parents can see this, my cousins can see this, like everyone's going to see this. And the feedback was really good. A lot of people did DM me, but I kind of just left it at that. Like I'd respond to their DMs and kind of that's it. Like I answered your question and good luck to you. But as the conference season rolled up again, a lot of people started DMing me again. And I was like, why don't I just like do one event where I answer all of these questions? Because I caught myself responding to the same question several times. And I'm a part of a lot of student orgs like Rewriting the Code, Girls Who Code, and so many more. So I posted on those Slack channels saying I'm doing this. And a bunch of other previous attendees were like, can we join you? And I was like, honestly, yeah, like if the more the merrier, like we can have like 5 people and we'll like round robin answer questions that I've gotten and especially very commonly asked questions. And that kind of started the panel series because I wasn't set up to run a panel. I just had a Google Meet and I would just send it to whoever asked. So I had no way of tracking how many people were joining. I had no way of understanding what the extent of this is. And the response was really overwhelming because I was admitting people into the meeting and I was like, oh, I don't think I can admit any more people. And then I tried to start recording, but I didn't have Google Business to record. So I was like, no, like the demand is really high. So I like used a third-party site and recorded the event just so I could send it to the people that didn't join. And from there, I realized that this was something that I wish I had in college. And this is something that I know that a lot of students want right now. And it's been a great way to also meet new people as well as learn from their experiences as I start my career journey. So that's kind of what started this panel initiative, and pretty much everything else just snowballed from that.
I love that paradox almost of like you were burnt out from just like going to classes. So you found relief by adding to that rather than taking away. I'm curious like how you made sure that those extracurriculars like provided you with that energy rather than took away from that energy.
Something that I was very cautious about while choosing these extracurriculars was I didn't want it to feel exactly like how I feel in the classroom. So I didn't want to join a student org where I was working on another coding project or doing coding for an organization at my university. So when I was looking at my options, but I still wanted to stay in the tech industry because I'm very passionate about being in the tech industry, it almost came down to speaking or hosting or building community events. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it because it was a way for me to meet other people, especially other women in tech, because most of the times in class, like you'd see each other, but you're not really talking to each other after that. So that opportunity really brought me a lot of my friends as well. And I think that's how it helped me feel better from the whole burnt out feeling. Because at first I was like, I'm kind of going the other way. Like I should be maybe taking fewer classes and sleeping more and doing all of those kind of things that I read online when it comes to curing burnout. But in reality, the opposite kind of helped me.
That's very funny. I feel like I resonate with that a lot. Like that's how I also approach burnout. It's like, well, I'm going to go learn something interesting and get really deep into this subject instead. And I feel like that does so much more for me than the traditional like take breaks and self-care and drink tea and tech things.
Yeah, I honestly caught myself thinking so much about what more I should be doing when I was taking time for myself. Like if that meant going on a really long walk, I was thinking about, oh, maybe I could be doing this or could be doing that. And that's when I realized, okay, I need to add more to my plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I also feel like you also mentioned that like how doing the panels was a great way to network and meet people. And I
Mm-hmm.
100% plus one that having a
Mm-hmm.
podcast, like this is the first time. I mean, I go to tech events occasionally, but you can't go to them all the time and they're
Yeah.
crazy, busy, and exhausting.
Yeah.
But doing a podcast, I've noticed like it's a great way to network with people and get
Mm-hmm.
to sit down for an hour and pick somebody's brain.
Definitely.
So
Because I
yeah.
don't think if I did the panels, I'd be able to talk to both of you. And especially as an early career, I wouldn't feel so comfortable approaching people so much later on in their career, so much more experienced if I didn't start the panel series. So it all worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good way to see also like, oh, turns out everybody has imposter syndrome. I always like feel really good when I go to like some VP talk or something and they're like, yes, I
Uh-huh.
also have imposter syndrome.
Uh-huh.
You actually had a talk about that too, right? Where I think it was what I thought everyone was better than me until I saw their screens. Is that sort of that
Yeah.
theme?
That's kind of pretty much what I was talking about when I skipped every opportunity my freshman and sophomore year of college because I thought I was the only one struggling. I didn't even go to career fairs or sometimes didn't even show up to class because I was like, I didn't understand what was happening yesterday, so I shouldn't go today because I have no idea what's happening. Until this one time I was sitting in my lecture and there was someone in front of me and they went on to Stack Overflow and looked up the same thing I had looked up the day before. And instantly it was like I had binoculars and I started like, I'm like, oh my God, like they're looking at the same thing. And weirdly, that made me feel a lot better because I was like, they're stuck as well, but they came to class today even though they're stuck. And that kind of helped me break the cycle of skipping classes, skipping opportunities. And if anything, I became more observant of those kind of instances since. And it's made me feel a lot better in the long run because I'm like, everyone's just trying to figure it out. But like you said, like imposter syndrome just comes and goes. And I feel like as soon as you hit one milestone, it's like you have more imposter syndrome to live up to that milestone. So it's definitely a battle I'm still fighting.
Yeah, I get that. I am a decade almost into my career in tech. And
Uh-huh.
yes, I still have to look up like how to reverse a commit or something every time
Uh-huh.
I have to do it. So yes, but memorizing is hard. And using Stack Overflow is pretty frequent. So yeah, so it sounds like you sort of built this whole community too from scratch, which is like a lot of work and a lot of like, effort that you put into community building. That's not
Mhm.
necessarily just showing up and doing the thing and expecting other people to be there. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like building the room that you needed. You thought that,
Sure.
you wanted to see more early career opportunities for folks and you created them yourselves.
Yeah, I honestly think it was a lot of subconscious efforts because one of my friends asked me something like this earlier and she was like, how do you go about this? And I was like, I think I've just always been on the lookout. So I wasn't actively like Googling early career communities to join or early career opportunities for people in the Midwest or anything like that. I was just subconsciously trying to build that. But something that honestly struck me was when I went on to social media, whether that was Instagram or TikTok or even LinkedIn, and I saw so many people talking about the same things that I never really talked about out loud, whether that was your post-grad rut where you're like going to work, coming back, and then doing the same thing over and over. And some days you're sitting at your desk and you're like, oh, so this is what my life is going to be for XYZ number of years. So once I saw a lot of those kind of videos, I was like, okay, like other people are talking about it as well, but they're posting it on Instagram and they're posting it on TikTok and hoping that it reaches the right people and praying that the algorithm works in their favor, which is when I was like, I think I can do something that's more targeted towards the right people. Because the more I started seeing these kind of conversations, I started having similar conversations with other people in tech, whether that was students or other earlier career folks. And they really like validated my ideas when I came up with, oh, what do you think about this talk? Or what do you think about that? And if I understood that they resonated with it as well, then I was like, okay, like their audience is there. So that's kind of how I decided on what talks to do. And a lot of the times the speakers gave me validation, which was very helpful. Because one of the times I suggested a topic and one of the speakers got back to me and she was like, I'm a little unsure of this. Can you share what kind of questions you might be asking me? And I was very happy with her feedback because I was like, this is the first time someone wanted more information about the title and where this panel is headed. So once I gave her the questions, she was like, actually, I love this. I'm so sorry for asking you anything. Like, this is the kind of conversation I want to have. So a lot of it like helped me build my confidence knowing that I was doing the right thing and people would show up. But along the way, I realized that A, because I was running this event for free, and B, it was on a random Thursday evening. A lot of the times I'd have like 150 RSVPs or like 120, but only have like 20 to 30 people show up. So that's something that I never really learned how to get past the flake rate and not get upset by it, because the first few times I was like, well, like I'm not delivering, so that's why people aren't showing up. But then I realized that everyone has their own life, and if it's free, then you can flake, like it's fine, like you're not losing anything, and you can always ask for the recording. And that took me a little bit to understand, because I needed to focus on the fact that this room had to exist and not how many people bailed on me. But I think I went on like a whole tangent to your question. I hope I answered it.
No, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that, yeah, realizing how much more valuable like having that online community is versus just relying on an algorithm to pick things up for you is huge, I think.
Definitely.
And,
I think it's so badass that you're like you saw a gap and then you were like, I am the solution to this gap. And other people were lamenting like, oh, we need this community. We need this fulfillment. So that's so cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, thank you. I mean, that's awesome. I'm curious if when you were doing research, was it typically, like, I know you do a lot of speaking for women in tech groups. Was it often like more minority groups that had these feelings or that were coming with these feelings? Or did you find that this was just something that was felt over like everybody who's in the tech field?
When I first started off, I kind of went onto Reddit actually and deep dive, just like typed in imposter syndrome and saw how many different posts showed up and just took it from there. But once I started hosting events, a lot of the minority communities started coming to me, and people from those communities started sharing how beneficial it was. And towards the end of it, I actually did like an audit to see where people came from and who came for most of them. And usually it was girls from all of these communities or women from all of these communities that were either working or were just getting started with their college career or in the same boat as me, honestly. So it kind of became a very niche thing after that, but it kind of started off as a very vague, just Reddit search with a bunch of words that I had heard so many times and I felt the same way. And I took it from there.
That makes sense. Yeah. And you talked a little bit about how a lot of people would sign up and then not necessarily that many people would show up. I know that's like a very ubiquitous problem in the meetup space and stuff too, just like the online content space in general. There's a rule. I'm in Portland, Oregon, and there's like a rule here where like you're only going to get half the number of people that are SVP, like consistently. Like that's just the way that those things go. But I think recording things, putting them online, I feel like I see that too for even, content creators that I see that have like these huge followings. You'll see their live stuff and they're like, oh, there's 7 people watching this right now. But then you see the views later and you're like, oh my gosh, they got 1,000 views in that video. So everybody's just doing things. It's hard to show up to things live, I think.
No, definitely, especially when it's free. I've flaked on events, so towards the end I was my own consolation. I was like, I've flaked on events before, so
yeah, I think it's pretty normal. And I think having done a few of those events, that's almost always how they go. So like doing those events now, I don't really read into the numbers of like how many people show up. Because there's so much more. And then you're done with the panels now, right? Are you planning on anything else? Is there anything else in the works that you're looking at?
I wanted to do like 12 panels by the end of it. So it's like almost like a year of it. But realistically, I did it only for 8 months. Because towards the end of it, I felt like a lot of the conversations we were having were just really repetitive. And we'd already talked about it. So I noticed that I found myself thinking, okay, like I need to do better. I need to have different ideas. But a lot of the times, most people, I could like think of something, but if the audience doesn't want it, then I'm the only one that's going to be listening. I'm the only one that's moderating it. So I kind of stopped in June, actually. So the panel after the one you were on was the last one. And I think it was a good end because I feel like I covered every topic that I would have wanted and a lot of my friends would have wanted, as well as a lot of the community wanted. But right now I'm kind of trying to figure out what's next with respect to community building. I wanted to host an event online again where it's like it's almost like a hackathon, but without the pressure of a hackathon. But there's just a lot of logistics that go into it and making sure you have the right prizes for these people, because I don't want to give them nothing if they win, because I know they've put in an effort. And something that I've been really doing, like I mentioned in my first answer, is trying to optimize my life with tech. So I wanted to host a hackathon with that title and see what people come up with, but I'm still working on that and trying to see if that's possible this year or if that's something further out in the future and maybe even in person. But apart from that, I've just been doing what every other tech person is doing now, trying to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah, that's valid. Yeah, let us know if you do put that on, because one, I want to attend because that sounds really fun, and that's like my favorite thing to work on is optimizing my own life. And two, we'll share it on the show and stuff too.
Sure, thank you. I'll definitely be in touch when I figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and talking a little bit too about becoming an engineer right now.
Mm-hmm.
During this very weird time, which I guess is not a weird time. This is the time that you are becoming an engineer. I would love to hear about like, what has your experience been being in school for the past 4 years as AI came out and like changed everything. And now you're in the actual role using it regularly. So what has it been like?
I think the main thing I noticed is when ChatGPT came out, I was a sophomore and my school pretty much set like a fail policy if they catch you using AI. So anything that had the slightest sign of AI, it was like no arguing, nothing, you're failing that class. So I pretty much like stayed away from it just out of fear. And I was like, I don't want to fail a semester and then have to take another class again and figure all of that out. I used it in my personal life when it came to trying to optimize stuff, but I never used it in a class perspective. So when I started working full time, a lot of people came to me as the AI expert because they're like, you graduated with AI, so you know everything about AI. And I was like, I know nothing. I can tell you what I do for like figuring out my outfit or like figuring out what shampoo to use, but I can't tell you anything from a tech perspective about it. So that was a big transition for me because at work right now, everyone's using AI and it's something that's heavily imposed. So it took me a while to feel like I wasn't cheating on assignments while using it because a lot of the times I'd open up our Copilot and my manager would walk past me and I'd get super scared and I'd like close the tab. And then I had to remember that I wasn't in school anymore and I could use it and he encouraged me to use it. So that's something I'm still getting used to, honestly. I've been working for the last 8 months and it's definitely been a challenge. But something else that I've noticed, and I talked to a lot of other early career folks, is it almost feels like we don't have like the transitionary period anymore because AI is doing it for us, which has been a little hard because I'm already getting thrown into problems that a lot of people have validated that I wouldn't be doing if it weren't for AI. Like I'd probably be doing a lot of the grunt work and all of the menial tasks every day. But since something else is doing it, I'm doing stuff that's way more advanced without the foundation of doing the grunt work. So it's definitely taken a lot of studying after work and trying to do a lot of things with my own time and learn more about it because otherwise I catch myself struggling every day.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's a very difficult way to learn because you're kind of thrown into the deep end. I've heard now like everybody's a senior engineer because you have your own junior engineers ready at your disposal to make anything for you. Congrats, I guess, on your promotion. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, and that's also very interesting that you said like everybody expected you to be like super AI fluent because you went to school during that time, like the time when it came out. So everybody expected like, oh, everybody going to school now is going to be so good at it because they've used it from the beginning. And it's interesting that that didn't necessarily align with your experience.
Yeah,
that was my
definitely.
also early. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think like it's interesting because this is the thing that I don't think has actually changed much with like AI coming in, because I mean, it was a similar aspect when I was in school a long time ago with like Stack Overflow. You didn't want to, they would check everybody's answers against each other to see if it was similar in whatever way, to see if like the answer was leaked online or somebody shared their work or stuff. And so it's always a shock going to the industry and being like, oh, well, I guess I can cheat now, but it's not cheating. It's using your resources. But
yeah,
I do think there's something about like in school forcing you to use the fundamentals or learn the fundamentals the hard way. I'm curious, what resources are you using to kind of supplement that you don't have now with AI? Or anything specific coming in handy, or any specific tips you got?
I've been lurking on Substack a lot, just reading up on whatever shows up. Especially a lot of people nowadays are using Substack a lot, which I really like. So I kind of just follow a bunch of accounts and read whatever they post like it's gospel truth. But something else that I did recently is I joined another organization, which is for women learning AI. And that's been very helpful helpful. They're called Willa, and I join their events whenever I can, but they also record the events, so I watch them after work. And recently, they're the ones who got me very into like optimizing my life with AI because they host a lot of events themed around that. So apart from that, I'm kind of just online, whatever I see, whether that's Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, but a lot of the times it's not credible, so I need to realize that I need to go through a credible resource. But I'd love to hear if you guys had any suggestions and go from there.
We just like went off mute and went on mute at the same time. Yeah, unfortunately I don't. I feel like we're all kind of learning live this scenario. And it's like things that worked a week ago don't work today, or there's a brand new tool out like that wasn't available. So I think it's a lot of just learning live. And I think there's a lot of noise that comes from like being on social media and stuff. Like I feel at least the groups I'm in, there's a lot of like anti-AI bias, which is, I think there is validity in some of that, but then there's also like a lot of pro AI bias, which is like, there's some validity to that too. And so it's like trying to pick and choose what is beneficial and move forward with that. But I think like there's a lot of opinions flying around, and you just have to try as hard to develop your own taste and preferences.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people I keep hearing like, you got to learn the fundamentals and you got to figure those out. I think learning in general, like if you learn how to learn using AI tools where you're actually like checking your understanding with it and asking like, dude, like I'm wording this in a way, does this make sense? Does this actually like resonate with what people say online? Then it's a very valuable tool. If you're just doing it to like, hey, can you summarize this article for me? Then like you might not learn as much as you would otherwise. But when it comes to learning the fundamentals, I always really recommend designing data intensive applications for like the Bible of the fundamentals. It's like a very good, like, how do you scale large applications? It's a very good overview, I think, for that. And there was a recent version update to it too that just came out. I haven't read the recent version yet, but
okay, I'll have to check it out. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good one. Nice. Is there anything that you recommend? So a lot of the folks that listen to this show are typically more like mid to senior level engineers. And I'm curious, like, is there something that those folks can do right now to help folks that are getting into the industry? Like, what is it that you feel like you're missing from that, like a mentorship relationship that people can provide?
I think like something that me and a lot of my early career friends talk about is we're always too intimidated to approach people that are higher up because we've seen your calendars, we've seen how busy you are, we see you at like town halls and other events. So we're always like trying to be respectful of your time. But I think if it came from them to us rather than us to them, then we're always like, our calendars aren't as packed as yours. Like we'll drop everything to have a chat with you. So that's something I wish that was more common in the industry, where welcoming a new grad into the workspace. Because a lot of the times, especially I felt like I felt like one person in this huge sea of people that already knew each other. And I was like trying to be like, oh, hey, like, do you want to be friends? But it wasn't really working because like they'd all known each other for several years. They already know how the other person works. So something I appreciated is one of my managers like scheduled like a one-on-one with every single person on the team and like a team donuts and coffee session with me. It was very intimidating walking into that because it was like, oh, hey, everyone, this is Sreya, this is, and he named every single person. And then at the end, he was like, okay, now I'm going to quiz you. Can you name all of them? And I'm really bad with names. So I was like, and he's like, no, I'm kidding. Like, it's not, you'll figure it out. So that was very nice. And I think it was a great way for me to get started on the team. But that's something I wish that senior engineers really did, was welcoming the junior ones.
Yeah, I like that. I think there's also, there's like a weird balance that I've seen too recently at work where like a lot of people, especially because it's a very male dominated industry, I think, and there's like this like thing against mansplaining now where they're like, we don't want, to mansplain these things away. But I think there's also a way to do that where it's not like talking to somebody in like some derogatory way, but you're still sharing things, because even now on my team, there's a lot of things that like I'm not familiar with that specific tool that somebody's talking about. And I can just sit there and like nod my head along and be like, oh yeah, that thing that I'm going to go look up later. Yes, absolutely. I know exactly what that is.
And you're typing as they're speaking.
Yeah, definitely. I know what you're talking about. I still do that, even though I try not to. But yeah, trying to explain those things as you're talking about it and saying like, yes, and a queue, and this is sort of what that does, so that you can share that knowledge with people, I think is very critical as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that when I was earlier in career, I read a lot of anecdotes saying that a lot of times when male presenting folks are trying to learn from senior folks, they get challenged more, or they are like pushed to actually do the work. Whereas a lot of times, like they would rescue like more female presenting folks. And so I think like building that community, like you're saying, is so important for being able to set those relationships and those boundaries, and saying like, hey, I don't need rescuing, but I do need assistance. Like help me, like mentor me, teach me to fish, things like that. So I think that's such a valuable thing for senior folks to keep in mind is remember that everyone you're working with is a person and like is building their career, and really like focus on that part, less than like solving that problem now, like help them grow. So I love that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. We would like to move now to our fun segment, which is what we do at the end of every conversation. We try to tailor this to something related to you. And since you are so overcommitted, we wanted to talk a little bit about the process behind the process. Planning all these extracurriculars takes time. And I'm curious, like, if you could explain, like, rapid fire, like how much time actually goes into doing a lot of these things.
I think when I was running the panel series, I'd say about like 4 to 6 hours a week. And especially the days leading up to the panel, it was definitely like 3 hours the day before. And then the day of, I would do like testing for an hour. But now that I'm not doing that, a lot of it is just like me exploring for fun. So I haven't really kept like a count on how many hours it's taken. But a lot of my day after 5 looks like just trying to see what to do. So that's my long-winded answer for that.
Nice. Yeah, I felt like your panels felt very well organized, having done one of them. I was like, wow, she's so good at communicating up front. This is great. I've done a few events in the past where they show up like an hour before, like, all right, here it is. This is what we're doing. Like, all right, we'll make it up.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Are there any of these other like community events that you've talked about, or like community building things that you feel like, how has that gone, putting extra time into those things? I know like for the panels, you like tailored a specific topic for each one and came up with questions and things like that. How's that go? How did that go for you?
I think I want to say during my winter break, I was just bored at home and I was thinking of not the panels, but I was just thinking of a conversation I had with someone previously. And I was like, wait, this conversation could be like 2 different panels. So I just had like a master list on my phone where I would just like write down random ideas. Like one of them was like spotting ghost jobs on LinkedIn. And that led into like having someone from LinkedIn come and chat with us. So everything was just like an idea in my notes and I would go from there. But I'm pretty sure you know Brittany, but I was pretty organized about it. I would reach out like a couple months in advance. And one of the times someone was like, this is like 3 months in advance. Like I have no idea what I'm doing day after tomorrow. So I can't commit to this right now. And I was like, I fully understand. So I think during that time, if I hadn't put in that effort, I don't think I would have gotten the rewards from it. And I wouldn't have learned so much myself from the process because I didn't want it to feel like every other generic panel you see hosted on LinkedIn or on Instagram or TikTok or just on YouTube. So I wanted it to be very specific, which is why I was okay with putting in that much time.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think I do something very similar where I'm always like, have a shower thought or something and write it down somewhere, which I've heard that's also how Taylor Swift writes all of her songs.
Oh,
so
yay.
I don't feel bad about it.
Okay.
She keeps a notebook with her all the time and like writes down any inspiration. I'm like,
okay, that makes me feel a lot better because I thought I was going insane.
Yep. No, this is a creative process. It is
Yeah.
validated. What about your teardowns? I know we didn't talk about those too much, but I know you've done some teardowns of sites as well. Like what work goes into that?
That's something I recently started, I want to say about a month ago. And it's just been solely because of my personal frustration with a website or an app or a software. And being on the other side of it as an engineer, I know what could fix it. So it's just me honestly just frustrated writing. Like, I wish this was a feature and I wish you did this from the back end. But I think I take about like, I don't want to set like a posting schedule. I kind of just do it when I feel like. I think each post takes about an hour and a half because a lot of the times the idea already exists in my head and I just need to write it in a nice way so I don't offend anyone and back it up with research, which is always fun. I always love researching. And sometimes like my ideas have been shot down. Sometimes my ideas are validated and it's always great.
There's a book that we read for the book club, Bethany, that makes me think of that. Don't Make Me Think. It's a product book.
Okay,
Highly recommend.
So good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Don't make
It's
me think, you said?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
basically like a teardown in a book.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Also, I think people really appreciate feedback no matter what. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth trying to get feedback, what positive or negative on something. So I think people probably value it more than you might think, at least if they're
Oh, yeah.
treating it the right way. So
Yeah, no, I was really scared to get started because my brother kind of freaked me out. He was like, "Are you trying to upset people at Meta by posting this?" And I was like, "Is it that bad?" And he's like, "It's kind of rude. Like maybe you should like tone it down a bit." And that's when I realized I was really letting all of my frustrations out there. Like, why is there only one close friend story on Instagram? I want more than one and such. So I really appreciate you saying that feedback is valuable. I think I just need to tone it down when I do get angry about something.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, that's a job. That's people's job, is to like do that and tear things down and provide that feedback. So companies pay for it. So it's got to be pretty useful. Amazing. So where can folks find you online if they want to find you?
I'm pretty active on Instagram. My handle is at Sreya.Sarathy, and my LinkedIn is just my full name. So those are the social media platforms I use a lot. But I write down my teardowns on Substack, and I think I'm just going to check. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Yeah, my username is just my full name .substack.com. So
Cool.
yeah, if you're coming from this podcast, please let me know because I'd love to chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will include links, of course, to all of those in the show notes. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, this has been great. And I'm so excited to see what else you're up to. Hackathon, hopefully, in the future.
I'll be in touch. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be great. Cool.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been a great conversation, and I've learned so much from both of you as well.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. All right. Thank you so much, listeners, for tuning in to Overcommitted. If you like what you hear, please do follow, subscribe, or do whatever it is you're supposed to do on the podcast app of your choice. Check us out on Blue Sky and share with your friends. Until next week, goodbye.